Hello everyone, welcome back to Be the Whole You. My name is Gulveg and it is the new moon today, February 20th, 2023 in Pisces. And this is a super new moon, meaning that its effects are going to be amplified this time around. And the new moon is a time in which, typically speaking, is a good time to plan, strategize, set seeds of new intention, and then as Luna grows with her light, that intention will expand and be fed, be nurtured. So we're going to be using the tarot, as is the use, to get some additional information on how best to leverage this particular super new moon in Pisces. A couple of things I want to say about this particular new moon is, well, for one thing, it is conjunct Saturn at 28 degrees in Aquarius. And Aquarius is the sign that likes to shake things up. It innovates. It's kind of known as the archetype of like the nutty professor. It will have new perspectives. It is associated with revolution. So Aquarius itself is very comfortable with upheaval and change. And the last couple of lunar alignments that we've had, the last full moon and the new moon before that, there was a lot of information around new beginnings, new changes, new chapters. There was like this breath of fresh air. And so if you haven't checked those out, I would highly recommend it, because I think that energy is very much tied into this energy of this particular new moon. So in the last two lunar alignments, we were given some information on that this is going to be time to create some changes, to create a new journey, a new chapter, out with the old, in with the new. And now that we've decided a little bit more on what it is that we might want, this particular super new moon is asking us to take stock. So when I took a look at this chart, I immediately had this vision of a person having a backpack and like on a pilgrimage, and they already left the front door, but they haven't gotten too far along on the path yet, and it's like they paused for a second right before they've officially left the confines of the village, and set the backpack down and was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna just take stock and make sure that I have everything that I need. So this is a wonderful opportunity, and this new moon feels like a pause. It's just a pause to take a breath and to take a look in the backpack. What are you bringing on this new chapter? Is everything helpful? Or did you overpack? Is your backpack too heavy? Are some things in there you just don't need? Or or did you accidentally put a lead weight in there and it's really weighing you down? This is a really great time to take stock on what do you need to live your most actualized life that you want and deserve. So Saturn, like I said, is in Aquarius. What's interesting is that it's conjunct with this new moon in Pisces. The new moon in Pisces is at 1 degree, and 1 is about the sovereign self. It's about independence. It's about what it is that we need. It's associated with the magician and the tarot. So it's like that kind of like that mythological self-made person. And what we mean by that is that they already have everything that they need. The magician has his wand, he has his pentacle, he has his sword, he has his cup, he has everything that he needs at his disposal. But he does have to decide on how to focus what it is that he already has with his will. And with the Saturn that's conjunct at 28 degrees, 2 plus 8 equals 10, and then you can reduce that down, 1 plus 0 equals 1. So it still has that vibration of the sovereign self, of the magician, in numerology. And when we reduce numbers down like that, I always look at it as like a hybrid. So it has qualities of number 2, which is the qualities of duality and partnership. We have the qualities of 8 because it's at 28 degrees in Aquarius, which is about cycles. And then when we reduced it down to 10, we have again the number 1, which we just talked about, and the number 0, which is potential. It's the cosmic egg. So there is a lot of potential and newness that can happen, and a lot of self-revelations too, a lot of self-awareness, self-healing, and self-growth that can come from just taking a moment this week to really pause and assess, where is it that you are wanting to go, and do your actions align with that intention? Or have we gotten really excited on some of the things that we would like to manifest, we'd like to see, but perhaps we are maybe operating on old programs, old habits, beliefs, paradigms, and so on and so forth. It's really easy when with the busyness of life to just kind of go into autopilot. And this in Pisces, this new moon in Pisces is a very spiritual moon. Pisces would be a very good sign to align with to get us out of autopilot, because Pisces wants to live in connection with spirit. And this is definitely a moon where we can redefine what our spiritual connection is. We can redefine our belief system. We can redefine our relationships. And that goes into this new moon is sextile the midheaven at Capricorn at 2 degrees. And Capricorn, get her done. Like, Capricorn is about doing, it's about action. So as we're unpacking that backpack, we're going to probably have some clarity on how to plan or strategize for the future. But first, we have to give ourselves a moment to pause. Sometimes the most productive thing is to pause. And that is what this new moon is talking about. And also, with the sextile moon with Capricorn at 2 degrees, it also is playing with the North Node, which is at 7 degrees in Taurus, and the North Node is conjunct Uranus in Taurus at 15 degrees. So Uranus is the planet that's associated with Aquarius. So here we again have a lot of that Aquarian kind of energy that is being introduced into this lunar alignment in a different way. And with it being Taurus, Taurus is an earth sign, and Taurus is very much associated with wealth and comfort and home and beauty. So if those are aspects that you are wanting to upgrade in your life, if you're wanting to either get a new home or redecorate your home or have a new relationship with beauty and joy, this is a really good time to do that. And the North Node in Taurus, the North Node is what it is that we're moving towards. So with it being these two things being in Taurus and them playing with the Capricorn that is the midheaven in Capricorn at 2 degrees, these changes and these upgrades that we are wanting to make have the opportunity to be incredibly tangible. Incredibly tangible in our circumstances with Taurus, as well as our actions with Capricorn. And this is also talking about, because the South Node and the North Node, I always look at them as being connected, because the South Node is where we're coming from and the North Node is where we're going. So I look at them as being connected. And the South Node is in Scorpio at 7 degrees. And so as we are taking a look in this backpack, we may find that the South Node in Scorpio might be giving us some information about our past and how we might be pulling wounds from our past and trying to bring ourselves forward into a new future, but being completely informed by our past. So something that Joe Dispenza once said, he wrote the book Supernatural. If you're not familiar with him, he does really good work. He works with neuroscientists and works on and studies the effects of meditation on healing and on the brain. And he talks about how emotions are always informed from the past. So how we respond to a present moment or to our present circumstances is informed from the past. So if that is the case and we're always responding based on our past experiences, then it makes sense that then we recreate the same patterns for the future. So this Pisces new moon is an excellent opportunity to make some decisions on how to rewrite how we respond to certain triggers and certain patterns in our life. And when we respond differently and we feel differently, we will relate to our life differently, we'll relate to others differently, and we will have a different life. So there's some really big shift that can happen by getting really still and taking a look within. So without further ado, let's take a look at the tarot now, and let's see what the tarot has to say. Not as though that isn't enough. I mean, that's like a lot, right? I mean, you have the ability with everything that's gone on for the last couple months with the moon to really review the strategy that you are currently embodying, whether or not you're aware of that strategy to create a new future. So, all right, so join me with the tarot in setting the intention that the part of the tarot reading that is most important and pertinent to your circumstances in your life, that those things will pop out to you, that they'll be crystal clear that that part of the message is really for you. And we ask, how might we best utilize this super new moon in Pisces, February 20th, 2023, to serve our best and highest good? All right. So the very first card that comes out of the deck is the Three of Cups reversed. So this would indicate that one of the things that we might be seeing in our backpack is how we have related to people in general. So what I'm getting here is that it's not so much a particular person, but it might be more of groups of people. So for example, one of the things might be that we might start to assess and take stock on how do we relate to our family. What is our place within our family? How do we relate to our coworkers, to our friends? These are some things that we might take a look at. And the important thing is that when we take stock and look in that backpack is that we're not ruminating over the past. So there's a real difference between transforming the past, which is what Scorpio's medicine is, with the South Node at 7 degrees. 7 is about creativity, and Scorpio is about transformation. So we can take the poison and we can make anti-venom from it. So just like they take venom from snakes and they make anti-venom, so too can we take the poison of our past and we can create medicine from it. And that's really truly what healing is about. It's not about erasing what was done or what has happened, but taking stock and saying, okay, how can I move forward, and how can I either learn lessons, or how can I at least lay to rest and have peace moving forward from whatever it is that has happened in the past. So some of the things that might come up has to do with how we relate to specific groups of people, such as family, coworkers, friends, so on and so forth. And with the Four of Swords that comes up reversed, there is a real calling, strong calling. I mean, Pisces is all about spiritual connection, and it is about resting and meditating. And Four of Swords is a clear indication that some of us have been actually doing too much. This is a card that comes up a lot when we're reaching burnout. And with it inverted, upside down, there's a need to go within. There's a need to go within to at least avoid burnout if we haven't already crossed that threshold. And really the meditation piece and the Four of Swords is what's going to give us the clarity for the Five of Wands reversed. Five of Wands, when it's reversed, is more about our inner conflict within ourselves. So what I'm seeing here between the Five of Wands and the Three of Cups here is that, especially with it being that Pisces is at 1 degree, which is the self, is that we might be taking a look at how we relate to specific groups or how specific groups of people have hurt us, and that this is causing some conflict inside in turn. And this might look like low self-esteem, it might look like fear of putting ourselves out there, social anxiety. We might be able with this new moon to take a look at what has happened in our past and almost like a laser point be like, beam, that's it. That's where I got that belief, or that's where I started believing this about myself. That may or may not be true. And the thing that's beautiful about the Saturn that's in Aquarius is that Saturn is about organizations, it's about institutions, and it's about how things just are. It's about inheritance, and it's about there's a word that I'm looking for, but it's not coming. It's about like what it is that how things just are always done without even questioning it. It's about familiarity. And with it being an Aquarius, we're asked to kind of turn that on its head and be like, well, does it have to be done that way? Maybe I don't want to do things that way. Maybe I actually don't believe that. Maybe my perspective is actually different. It's very easy to sell parts of ourselves out for certain acceptance within our families or certain groups of people. And we might find that as we're changing, that we no longer align with that dynamic anymore. And then that comes to, and with the Five of Wands, another card popped out of the deck with it, which was the Strength card reversed. And when the Strength card is reversed, this is the lady in white represents the higher divine self. The lion represents our primal self, the ego. And when it's right side up, it's in its proper balanced state. It's also associated with the number 8. So very similar to the number 8 that was in the 28 degrees of Saturn in Aquarius. And so it's about cycles, and it's about the higher divine self driving the bus and the ego following along, instead of the ego being like a very large, excited dog that is like pulling us along, pulling the divine high self along. So with it upside down, this inner conflict is showing us where we might be succumbing to fear. And when our decisions are made out of fear, we will always have more karma. We will always have more undesirable outcomes that comes from that, because when we're aligned with fear, we're not aligned with our true purpose. We're not aligned with our happiness or joy. We're just aligned with survival. So the invitation is sometimes, and this is very Capricorn-y, so the midheaven in Capricorn, and you know everything that we talked about with that, with the get her done and the tenacity and the perseverance, that would be our Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands is about determination and willpower. It is our willpower that overcomes the inertia of our past so that we can rewrite the future. And the Nine of Wands is saying that if you can just look the fear in the face, even for a short period of time, and maybe even laugh at it, then it will diminish in its control over you, and you'll be able to move forward and have a closer connection with your intuition. The High Priestess is the card that came up with this, and this is about intuition. It's about choosing your path. So the High Priestess, she stands between the path of mercy, the path of justice. These are two polarities, and she is the middle path. All paths leads to the oasis, but the middle path is the one that's most enjoyable. It's the one that will have the least extremes associated with it. It's also very interesting to note that she holds the Torah in her hand. The Torah is ancient sacred knowledge, And Saturn being in Aquarius is very much about gathering information and research. So this might be a time in which you might even just question, like, I don't even know what I believe anymore. And that's okay. That's okay. You get to be a clean slate, and you can research, and you can talk to people, and you can, watch videos and see what other kind of perspectives are out there. Defining ourselves doesn't mean that we have to be solely committed to our opinions, but that we just are very in tune to really what makes our heart sing, and boundaries, which is the other piece about the Nine of Wands that I really wanted to talk about when this came up. Because with all of the the changes that are happening, and the number 1 and the 3 of Cups with the teamwork and the organizations and our relationship to certain groups of people that have left us wounded, it makes sense that we would then start taking a look at our boundaries and redefining our boundaries. And this has actually been something that's come up time and time again throughout our readings. And the thing that comes to my mind right there is what they say is that we teach people how to treat us. And I think sometimes that's misunderstood as being, if you're nice to people, they'll be nice back. And if you're mean to people, they'll be mean back. And I think that's an oversimplified version of that, because I think a lot of us have probably experienced times in which we've been nice as pie to people, and they haven't been nice as pie back. So really, for me, what that means as far as teaching people how to treat us is through our boundaries and telling people what's okay and what's not. It doesn't even have to, it can be respectful. Boundaries can be respectful, and you don't even have to explain yourself. You can just say, no, that's not okay. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to commit to that right now. No, I actually don't have time for that right now. You don't even have to explain yourself. By having boundaries, we teach people what's okay with us and what's not. And let's take a look. With the Strength card being reversed, and with this being with Pisces and Scorpio in the mix, the only thing I want to say to just kind of wrap this up is that the only way to is through. If we want to get to where we're going, there really is no HOV lane that's going to allow us to circumvent around the facing fears and doing some hard things. But even if they're hard, you still have this. You can still do this. And Capricorn is here to say that you absolutely can do this. And Pisces is here to let you know that if you do face the fear, that wisdom is on the other side. Prosperity is on the other side. And that it's totally worth it. That the temporary discomfort is worth the infinite gain. And that's where we have the number 8 with the Strength card. What cycles do you want to rewrite? It's a very powerful new moon, and right now, even though like Capricorn is in the mix and it's all about doing, the real doing is in the undoing with this particular new moon. That for us, a lot of us, what's going to be the challenge is to not chronically do. It's going to be to ask for space and to clear out time in our schedule to just pause. To just pause and take stock. This is a great time to journal, great time for tarot reading, oracle readings, anything of that nature. So there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of clarity. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me here. I've really enjoyed this reading. I hope you did too. And if you are needing a spiritual coaching session, a tarot reading, energy healing, or yoga therapy, do take a look at my website at www.bethewholeyou, with just the letter U.com. Thanks again, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye.